Hey everyone, welcome. You know that feeling when you're reading an academic paper and you're just lost? Or maybe you're worried your own writing isn't coming across as clearly as you want it to. Well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to talk about a skill that is an absolute game changer for your university work. It's called academic signposting. And it's basically your secret weapon for making your argument super powerful and easy to follow. Let's dive in. So here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with what I like to call your academic GPS. Then we'll get into a basic toolkit of phrases, connect some more complex ideas, see how it all works in practice, and wrap up with one super important rule: how to avoid overdoing it. All right, first up, your academic GPS. Let's really get into what signposting even is and, more importantly, why you should care. Okay, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like road signs. Seriously, imagine you're on a road trip. The signs tell you where you are, where you're headed, and what's coming up next, right? A sharp turn, a rest stop. Well, academic signposting does the exact same thing, but for your ideas. It's all about guiding your reader or your listener through your argument so they never, ever get lost. So why is this so important? I mean, really, why does it matter? Well, for one, academic writing can be dense. It's complex. Good signposting just cuts right through all of that noise. It makes your structure crystal clear, and honestly, it just makes your work sound way more professional. But here's the kicker. Especially for anyone who has to give a presentation, your listeners can't hit rewind. They can't go back and reread a confusing sentence. Your verbal signposts are literally the only thing keeping them on the same page as you. Okay, theory's great, but let's get practical. It's time to build our basic toolkit. These are the go-to, essential phrases you're going to use all the time to give your work that clean, clear structure. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got these separate ideas just floating there. They're like disconnected islands. But now, look at the right. See how those little words, first, in addition, act like bridges connecting those islands? They create a smooth, logical path for the reader to follow. It's such a tiny change, but man, the impact is huge. So these phrases all have a specific job to do. If you want to show order, you're going to use words like first, second, finally. Simple. If you're adding another piece of information, you'll reach for in addition or furthermore. And when you need to back something up with an example, for example, or for instance, are your best friends. These are, without a doubt, the fundamental building blocks. And here's what that looks like in a real academic sentence. You start with a big claim, right? Several factors influence academic success. Okay, cool. But then that phrase, for instance, acts as this perfect little signal. It basically tells the reader, hey, pay attention. Here comes the proof for what I just said. It's so simple, but it's just incredibly effective. All right, so we've got the basics down. Now let's level up. This is where we get into some more advanced navigation, how to handle contrasting ideas, show cause and effect, and expertly weave in your sources. Okay, this is where your arguments start to get really sophisticated. If you need to introduce a totally different perspective, or even a counter-argument, words like however or on the other hand are absolute gold. And if you need to show that one thing caused another, as a result or therefore are your power tools for linking cause and effect. Now, here's a really cool and important point. Signposting isn't just for your own ideas. It's the absolute perfect way to introduce evidence from your sources. Think about it. It lets you smoothly bring in a quote, a statistic, or a citation without it feeling clunky. Okay, this example is fantastic. It's like putting two authors in a conversation. First, you state the accepted theory, and you cite your source, Smith from 2019. Boom. But then, watch what in contrast does. That phrase is like a little warning light for the reader. It says, hold on, we're about to challenge that idea. And then you bring in your counter evidence, citing Jones and Lee from 2023. See that? A single phrase, in contrast, just masterfully handles the entire debate between two different sources. It's brilliant. Okay, we've seen how the individual words and phrases work. Now, let's zoom out a bit. Let's look at how signposting can structure whole chunks of your work, like your introductions or even your oral presentations. You should really think of your entire introduction as one giant signpost for the rest of your paper. You're basically giving the reader a map of the journey you're about to take them on. You can even use the language directly. You could say something like, this essay will first outline the background. Then, it will then examine the key arguments. And finally, before presenting a final evaluation. You've literally given them a roadmap before they've even started page 1.
And when you're speaking, this becomes even more critical. Remember, your audience can't rewind you, so you have to be their guide step by step. Using simple phrases like, okay, today I'm going to talk about, or let me begin with my first point, and then now I'll move on to, these aren't just filler words. No way. They are essential verbal cues that hold your entire presentation together and keep your audience right there with you.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. But before we wrap up, there is one last super important rule for mastering this skill. Because like any powerful tool, you gotta know how to use it right. And that means not overdoing it. Just take a look at this. On the left, where it just repeats first, 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 it sounds so robotic, right? It's like a checklist, it's clumsy. That's not what we're going for. The goal is what you see on the right. It still shows the order, but by mixing it up, using to begin with, another important point, a final consideration, it just flows, it sounds natural, it sounds sophisticated, it sounds human. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this one simple check. Every time you write something or every time you prep for a presentation, just pause for a second and ask yourself, is my structure clear? Can someone actually follow my train of thought easily? If you can confidently answer yes to that, then you know you've nailed it. Your signposting is doing its job perfectly.